last semester as well, but good to see you all again. Like Max said, my name is Marshall. I'm a pastor at a church in Indianapolis called Traders Point. We've got locations all around the city. Would love to have you at some point. The closest one to here is probably Plainfield. So come on by Plainfield sometime. We would love to have you. But yeah, I'm excited for this conversation tonight because what I feel really burdened to talk to you guys about, at first I think doesn't seem maybe super spiritual, but I genuinely believe that it's one of the most foundational pieces of the puzzle of our lives coming together as God truly intended for it to come together. So when I think about, man, getting the chance to talk to you, a group of college students right now in 2025, like, it's not lost on me that you guys are a part of a generation right now that is on fire for Jesus. And in particular, in colleges all across the country for sure, and all across the world, like college students are like running after Jesus. In droves, they're rejecting the secular script that only leads to broken and empty lives, and they're pursuing life with Jesus and life to the full. And it's so cool to be a part of. And so my question for you, first of all, is like, man, do you want to be a part of that? And specifically, when you're my age, or even older, when you're 30 years down the road, want to be able to look back on 2025 and be like, man, I was there. Like, I was a part of a profound, historical move of God in this country. And if you want to be a part of that, to be able to say, man, like, yeah, like our families were changed, our friend groups were changed, we saw people like come to find hope and healing and wholeness and freedom. You want to be a part of seeing the kingdom of heaven come here on earth. And I think a very significant piece of being a part of all that God is doing right now will be determined by the people that we choose to hang around with. So, this is what I want to talk to you guys about tonight. And this is what I'm calling the conversation tonight, is the spiritual dynamite of friendship. Friendship primarily is where we're going to be. I think right now as college students for you guys, and this is a really pivotal season for friendship. Now, it might also be one of the most challenging seasons. I was talking to a group of middle schoolers recently, and I think maybe friendship might be harder as a middle schooler than a college student, but maybe as a college student or a young adult, it's not far behind. Right? I think that friendship right now, especially if you're maybe a freshman coming in and you're still trying to find your place, friendship can be really challenging. Right? Maybe on the other end of the spectrum, if you're a senior and you're thinking, man, what's next and what's going to happen when I'm in a new place next year, doing a new thing without this beautiful community that I've built, and that could be a really scary thing. I think right now where you guys are at, friendship can be really difficult. Here's a couple of things that I know to be true when it comes to friendship and relationship. The first is that God created us for community. Right? We see that right from the very beginning of creation, that God made everything. And every single time he made something, he said, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good. He makes people, and he's like, that's very good. The reason he made people, the reason he made everything, is so that he could have an arena in which to be in relationship and friendship with you and I. Right? Friendship with God, we'll get to that in a little bit. That's where this whole thing really is leading. But God designed us, he hardwired us to be in community. The very first thing that was not good in that whole progression of creation was when there was loneliness. And the very first thing that came into creation that was not good was when someone was alone. So God made us for community, and every single relationship that we're in is primarily a friendship. My wife and I, we've been married for 8 years now. We've got 2 kids. It is awesome. We want to eventually, we're dreaming about like being marriage speakers or something. I don't know. We really value marriage, and I love talking about that. The very most important element of our relationship that I think is critical for us to focus on in order to have a healthy marriage, a healthy family, to be healthy ourselves, is the friendship element of our marriage, right? We're trying to raise 2 little kids. They're 4 and 2, and they poop in their pants. Like, it's awful. And it's so imperative that in just the stress of life and work and parenting, like, for us to stay together, it is so important that we enjoy each other, that we have fun together, that we do things for one another, that we serve one another, that we laugh together. Like, friendship is so important in a marriage. And so I say I love talking about marriage. I'm not very good at, like, dating advice, so I'll keep this piece really short, because I dated my wife. I almost messed it up. She took me back. It was good. But my hypothesis, my theory, is that even in every dating relationship, like, man, the most important thing about if you're thinking, man, should I date this person or not, whatever, like, can you just be best friends with them? And if you can just date your best friend, like, I think it's going to set a foundation that is really, really healthy going forward. But that's just my theory. I also had a friend in college, one of my roommates in college, named Brian, and he would always say, super annoyingly, he would always say, dude, you know that guys and girls can't really be friends, right? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, they can't really be friends without one of the 2 of them developing feelings for each other eventually over time. And I was like, Brian, you're crazy, dude. That is not right. And now, like, 15 years later, I'm like, dang it, I think Brian was right. I think that there's some element of truth to that. So I just say that as, like, a caution. Like you can have friendships with everybody, right? But really, really close friends between guys and girls, just be wise. Just be wise, because there's, a lot can happen. Okay, that's enough of dating advice. We'll talk about friendship. So the first thing I know is God created us for community, and He designed us for friendship. Okay, the second thing I know is that friendship is one of the most challenging but also most rewarding parts of being human. Right? You know this, I know this. Like, some of the people that we have the most fun with are our friends. Some of the people who hurt us the most and cause us the most pain, probably the people who are closest to us as our friends. And so it takes intentionality, it takes prayer, it takes patience. And man, right now, the friends that you guys choose specifically in this really pivotal season of life in college, I think it will have a big impact on the future that you have. My youth pastor growing up, his name was Remington, and he would always say, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Because the people that we surround ourselves with now have an impact on the trajectory that our life goes. So, first thing I know, God created us for community, designed us for friendship. 2, friendship is the most challenging and also the most rewarding part of being human. And 3, man, to have a good friend, to have good friends, starts with just being a good friend, right? Serving other people, loving other people. And so why is all this important, right? Why of all the things I could have talked about that I want to talk about friendship with you guys tonight? Because I think God, like I said, He wired us to belong to something. And if you want to be a part of this move of God that we're seeing come across the entire world right now, and see love and joy and hope and peace and healing and freedom come to the people in your life, and you want to experience those same things yourself, a significant piece of that, and that puzzle coming together, will be determined by the people that you spend the most time with. So, I'm going to show you guys some of my friends throughout the years, just because we can. So this is me in middle school with some of my friends. That's Jacob, and I think his name is Alex. I haven't seen him in probably 20 years, the kid in the middle. That's me holding the alien on the end, by the way. I think we were at an air show. This was like probably 12 years old right there. So that was middle school friendship. That's what that looked like, right? We're standing in front of a helicopter holding an alien, wearing puka shell necklaces. That was really big in 2002 or whatever. So this was high school. This was actually like my youth group. So the bald guy on the end was our youth pastor. That's Remington, and then a bunch of guys that we're just friends with. We took a senior trip to Florida that year, the seniors in high school. So this was college, on the cross-country team. Any cross-country runners? here? Yes? Yeah, we do weird stuff like this, I guess. I don't know. This is before a race. We dressed up and thought we'd look cool. So these are a bunch of the guys that I roomed with. That's on the far end. That's Brian. On the far, what is that? Your left. That's the one who thought we couldn't have friends between guys and girls. Good guy, though. Great guy. This was like end of college for me. Just some friends. The girl in the orange coat that I'm standing next to, that is my wife, Alexandra. I think we were dating at that time. So yeah, just some friends there that we hung out with a lot. We all worked together giving tours at the Olivet Nazarene University admissions office. So any tour guides here for DePaul? You guys don't give tours? It was really hard as an athlete to do so, I will say that. And then on a couple years after college, getting married. These are my groomsmen, getting married there. And then this was like 3 weeks ago, maybe a little longer. This was in August. These are some current day, some of my very best friends. Now, what you'll notice about some of these pictures, and if you guys could do the same thing, I bet we notice something similar, that there's different people in so many of the different pictures, right? There were times where I thought, man, the people that I'm friends with right now, like we're going to be best friends forever, right? My best friends growing up, we all lived in the same neighborhood. So I thought, yeah, we're going to be best friends forever. Well, that changed when you go to college and you spend time with a lot of people. It's like, man, we're going to be best friends forever. And you graduate college and then it's like, oh man, well, the people at my wedding, like we're going to be super close. We're going to be best friends forever. And then 8 years later, it's like, man, I've not talked to them in like 6 years. Friendships change over time. That's something else that I know to be true. And that's okay. That's a natural part of life, that some of the people that you're closest with right now, maybe you won't be closest with forever, but my hope and my prayer for you, and one of the prayers I'm going to pray for you guys later tonight, is that you can have a friend like Jacob right there for me. He's the one guy who's been in every one of these pictures. And not cross country, he didn't run cross country, but he's the one in they all are wearing golf hats. But he's the black tie hat right there. He's the best man at my wedding. Friends from 2nd grade. We live right down the street from each other still. And man, that friendship for me has been one of the biggest blessings in my life. And one of my prayers for you guys is that as you go, you can have a good friend who's with you through thick and thin. So, as we talk about the spiritual dynamite of friendship, one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about this with you guys is because I think friendship changes things. I'm calling this the spiritual dynamite of friendship because that's a quote that comes from a guy named Tim Keller. He's an author, passed away recently. But Tim Keller, he coined that phrase, and he said something I think really profound, and if it's true, man, I think it just highlights the importance of why we're talking about tonight. He said, friendship is about the only way I know to truly change somebody's life. He goes on to say that friendship is the only thing that can really make the world a better place. Now, I think those are really profound statements when we talk about the power of friendship, because, he's basically claiming that the only way to really make somebody's life better is to befriend them. And I think that there's probably some truth to that, right? We see that from Jesus, right? Like he came to save the world by coming to befriend you and I, to be in relationship with all of us. That's how he saved the world. He said the only way that you can really make the world a better place is through friendship. Now, I say to dads all the time, like if I'm like counseling a married couple or a dad, and I'm talking to the husband, like I say to dads all the time, hey, if you wanna make the world a better place, like it starts with just going home and loving your kids really well. Like you wanna make the world a better place, to husbands, I'll say, hey, just like go home and prioritize your wife and just love your wife really, really well. Like that's where it starts. And so I say to you guys as college students, like if you want to make the world a better place, man, it starts with being a really, really good friend to the people who are in your life. It starts with just loving the people that are already around you really well. And I don't want you to just take my word for it, but man, there's a lot to say in the Bible about friendship. Before we get to that, oh, there's my quote. I forgot about that. Friendship is the only way I know to change somebody's life. A couple of discussion questions just with your table. As we're getting into this, how can I be a better friend to those people in my life, right? Like just take an honest inventory of yourselves. Talk about that with the people at your table. Like how can you personally just be a better friend to the people around you? And then how can you as a friend group, right? If you're a part of a friend group, you're here with other people, like how can you help one another grow closer to God, not further away in this season? So how can I be a better friend to those in my life, and how can our friend group help lead one another closer to God? Take like 5 minutes or so, chat about that. I'll come back up here in just a minute.
Still got some withdrawal? Yeah, getting the withdrawals Yeah, that's it. I can't understand the word that means whenever you're
So I think these are questions that you can continue to just ask yourself, right? These are good self-reflection questions like, man, hey, am I being a good friend today? And are we as a group, are we leading each other closer to God, or are we stagnant and leading each other further away? I think these are good questions just to continue to ask yourself. So like I said, the Bible is just full of all kinds of examples of relationships. What's great about the Bible is that it doesn't necessarily just give us one perfect example after another. It gives us one real example after another. And there's a guy in the Bible named King Solomon, famous for being like the richest man of all time, and super powerful, completely supreme ruler of the entire region that they were in. And he wrote the book of Proverbs in the Bible, which is a bunch of wisdom sayings. If you're ever looking for a good place to just like start reading the Bible that's really accessible, Proverbs is a great place because it's super practical from like just every inch of the book is really, really practical. So he wrote this in Proverbs chapter 12, verse 26, said, "The righteous or the godly choose their friends carefully, but the wicked lead them astray." He said the righteous choose their friends carefully, but the wicked lead them astray. And you know who I think he had in mind when he was thinking about this? I think he was thinking about his own dad. King Solomon's dad was another really famous king in the Bible named David. And David was a guy who had a life that was all kinds of up and down, right? He had some moments where he was just at the peak of all things going well. He was walking with God. He was doing everything that he should do as a shepherd, as a warrior, as a king. He also had times where he just committed the most egregious sins, and his entire life was falling apart. And I think when Solomon said, hey, you know, the godly choose their friends carefully, but the wicked get led astray, I think he was thinking about his dad, because King David was really famous for having a friendship with a guy named Jonathan. And when he was friends with Jonathan, it was like iron sharpening iron. He was friends with Jonathan. He was tracking with the Lord. He was doing what he should. He was going through hard stuff, but he had somebody in his life who just would constantly support him and constantly speak truth into his life. He wouldn't let him, even though he was, tempted to like go off and be away from God. Jonathan didn't let him. He continued to speak truth in his life. But Jonathan was killed, and later on in life, many, many years down the road, David surrounded himself by less good influences. And that's what led to him getting into so much trouble. He surrounded himself with bad advisors, people who led him astray. And so I think when King Solomon was writing this, I think he was thinking about his own dad. He's like, man, I never met Jonathan, but I heard about how really good friend he was with my dad, the influence that had in his life. I saw what happened when my dad got led astray by bad counsel, and I saw what happened there. The righteous choose their friends carefully or cautiously, right? It just means choosing what's right, choosing what reflects who God made you to be. And so if you want to be a right decision maker who does what's best for your future, Solomon says that we need to choose our friends carefully. And right decision makers pay attention to who their friends are because they know that they need friends who are just as invested in their future as they are, right? They need friends like Jonathan who helped David stay on the right course. Now, really important here. What this doesn't mean is that we don't have friends who don't follow Jesus, right? What this doesn't mean is that we don't hang out with people who aren't tracking with people. I think that would be hypocritical to the entire mission of Jesus, who himself went out and surrounded himself by all kinds of people who had no hope and were living off of a different worldview and didn't have any idea about this full way of life that God had for them. No, Jesus surrounded himself with people who needed this hope. And so I think we should as well, right? This doesn't mean that if you have a friend who doesn't make the best decisions or maybe is often tempting you, that you necessarily need to just drop them out of your life. That's not what this means. But I'm saying that you should look at the people that you're closest to and who you spend the most time with and ask yourself, are they leading me to a future that I'm proud of, or to a future that you don't actually want to be a part of? And in college, right, you can't always necessarily choose the people that you're around all the time, but as you guys get older, I mean, you're gaining more agency in that, so you're going to get more opportunities to do that. I also think that at this point of the conversation, there probably are some people who are thinking, man, it's not so much the problem is I'm spending time with the wrong people. It's that I'm not spending time with any people. I think one of the biggest challenges that we face today is loneliness, right? We already established, like, God created us for friendship. God created us to be a part of community, to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. And yet, so many young people, so many adults, I mean, of all ages, are lonely. And the post-college world, like once you get outside of college, there are times where we're like, man, remember we used to just like live with all of our best friends in dorms and apartments, and like it was awesome. We were around each other all the time. And then that goes away at some point. It's like, oh, this is kind of sad. Afterwards, it can really be lonely. And man, if that's you today too, and you're like, yeah, this whole conversation is kind of awkward because I don't know if I have friends, like real friends, like friends who really know, right? Every time I do a wedding or something, I talk about the fact that I think one of the biggest fears that we have as humans is rejection, right? And this lie that's in our head that says, man, if somebody really knew who I was, if they knew the real me, they wouldn't accept me. And so we're not vulnerable, we're not authentic in our relationships, which, again, in a dating relationship, and certainly in a marriage relationship, if you're not open and real and authentic, man, it's not going to work. But in friendship, it's the same thing. And I think we have this fear that, like, man, if somebody truly gets to know me, they'll reject me. The beauty of Jesus is that he knows us better than anybody. The beauty of Jesus is that he knows us better even than we know ourselves. And it's not all good, right? Like we know enough about ourselves to know, like, man, it's not all good. And yet Jesus doesn't reject, right? Like Jesus knows us fully and accepts us fully. And so when we talk about friendship, I think that a lot of us put up guards and we say, man, okay, I gotta kind of pretend to be this way or this thing or this person or this image, so that I am accepted. But you know it's not the real you that they're accepting. The greatest joy, the greatest freedom in humanity is when you're surrounding yourself with people that you can be your full, true, authentic self with, and they accept you fully. And that's one of my challenges to you guys, is to create that community here. Like, that's what the church is intended to be. And this is a norm of the church, right? Like it's not like a local church that meets on Sunday morning. Like FCA at the Paul, though, is a part of the body of Christ. And this community is intended to be that place where you can bring your guard down, throw the image out the window, and just say, this is who I really am, blemishes and all, and trust that the other people in this room will accept you. Everybody wants to be a part of that. Everybody is longing and craving for that. And so if you guys are able to cultivate that amongst yourselves, man, I think there's no stopping what God can do with this group going forward. So the biggest thing to really be thinking about here, I keep forgetting to put stuff on the screen, I'm sorry. The righteous choose their friends carefully, the way of the wicked lead them astray. The biggest thing to think about here, when we're talking about the intentionality of who we're allowing into our inner circle, who we're friends with, who we have influence over, or try to allow to have influence over us, you can kind of think of it as concentric circles, right? Like who's in your inner core that you just know, like, yeah, these people, they really do. They lead me closer to Jesus. I lead them closer to Jesus. I showed you that last group of guys that we went, we were out on the golf course. And those guys, that last picture I showed, those are like my inner core right now. And I wish I could show you like the text messages that we send each other. Because it's always just building each other up. Like it's always just like, man, hey, I need encouragement for this today. Or they'll text me if they know I'm coming to do something like this. They'll be like, hey, praying for you. You're going to crush it. You're going to do a good job. Man, we are always building each other up intentionally. And that's who I keep in like my inner core of that circle. Now, outside of that, right, it's like you can have other friends that you hang out with a lot, spend a lot of time with, and still be real and vulnerable and authentic with, right? Don't pretend to be somebody you're not. But it's more about who are you letting influence you. And so that outer circle is probably more people, but they are a little bit further away. And then the outside ring is like, man, we are all supposed to be around people who don't know Jesus, who don't have that hope, right? Who are living a spiritually disconnected life. And of course, they're probably not going to be influencing you in a positive way. But if you're intentional about it, then you really can flip the script and you can influence them in a positive way towards this authentic community that, again, everybody wants to be a part of. And so all of this is just about the intentionality of the people that we surround ourselves with. Because God created us for friendship. He created us for community. He created us for relationship. And He wants you to have that here in this season of life, right? In these 4 years of college. After college, He wants to set you up with the tools to be able to choose friends well and to be intentional in your friendships, to have good friends and to be a good friend. And it's going to make a big difference in your life because the people you surround yourself with will impact the future that you have. So we're going to land the plane here in a couple of minutes. One of the things I want to do for you guys, though, just coming up is really pray for you and probably even have time to pray for one another, just that you have, just a friendship would be a really big blessing in your life in this season. So what can we do going forward? I mean, one, you can pray for great friends. I think that is a prayer that God hears and blesses and will very much want to bring into your life. Right? I think you could pray for great friends. We talked about King Solomon. Like, he boldly asked God for wisdom at one point. And God gave it to him. He's like, that's a good prayer. I'm going to give you wisdom. You can ask for wisdom. You can ask for discernment. You can ask for great friendships in your life. It takes work like everything else, right? We still have agency in this. We still have to be a good friend to have good friends. But you can pray for great friends. The second thing you can do is really just take good inventory of where you're at. And am I surrounding myself right now with the right people? Am I letting the right people closest to me? Am I being more influenced by the groups I'm a part of, or am I able to influence them in the way of love and hope, peace, and joy, freedom? Ask yourselves these really good questions. And then third, is to just be that intentional God-fearing friend, right? Like that's something you guys can do the moment you walk out of here. It's like, man, I can be a good friend. You can choose that every single time. And being a good friend to somebody else doesn't, sometimes they're not a good friend back, but you can continue to choose to be good friends. So.